Hello, replay viewers. Hello, those of you who are coming into the room. I'm pretty excited. We are reviewing the book, The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. Hello, Sam. Great to see you. If you want to get your copy of the book, you can get it at that bit.ly link, Action 10X. My name is Ryan Roy. You can find out about me at ryanroy.me. I'll tell you a little bit about myself as I introduce myself. Hey, Rafia, great to see you. Long time no see. Greg Harvey, thank you so much for inviting your followers and sharing it out on Twitter. Sam, great to see you. Peep in the house. Colleen and Muhammad, great to see you. Claudia, thank you for being here. Great scope. Glad you got on. No problem. You've been ill. That's fine. I hope you're feeling better. Laid back Za, thank you so much for coming into the broadcast. One Pearl Girl, good morning to you. Good afternoon here. I'm on the East Coast, so it's 12:18. We do this at 12:15 Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much for inviting out. What up, what up? Laura Royer in the house. And Claudia, thanks for inviting your followers. Guys, I am reviewing The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. Phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. Kristen Crockett, Lisa Halls. Feel free to screen capture that, guys, if you want to follow along at the book. We are doing Chapter 8 today. Chapter 8 in Grant Cardone's book, The 10X Rule, says average is a failing formula, people. Do you guys know that average is a failing formula? How many of you consider yourself to be average? Put a 1 in the box. Put a 1 in the box if you consider yourself to be average. And I hope I don't average. We don't want average. And we don't want to think of yourself as average. So I'm getting my notes here, getting ready to share with you Chapter 8. Average is a failing formula. He says average sucks. Normal sucks, guys. You don't want to be average. You don't want to be normal. The masses, the middle class are average. Nothing wrong with being that, but those people who are in here that want to have uber success in life, put a 1 if you want uber success in life. And we can't take average actions, guys. We can't take average actions if we want to have uber success. Getting on a broadcast every single day when less than 1% of the people who have downloaded the app have ever broadcasted, period. To do it every single day is not average. That's why many of you look up to those people who get on these broadcasts every single day and share of themselves, because you're like, oh my God, how do they do that? Where do they find the time? Where do they find the willpower? Where do they sit there and come up with the material? How many of you have thought that when you've looked at other people's broadcasts? Because it's not average. It's not average activity, right? And the thing about average is it's acceptable, right? But the question is, do you want to be acceptable or do you want to be exceptionable and successful, right? Grant talks about this. He says the addiction to average of just having enough is the killer of dreams. He says the average person reads less than 1 book a year. How many of you read more than 1 book a year? Put a 1 in the box if you read more than 1 book a year. Because if you read more than 1 book a year, you don't read, you are, no wonder why you consider yourself average. And I'm not saying to knock it. You just created the definition of average. You don't read. So if you read more than 1 book a year, you're already ahead. But here's the thing. He says the average person also works less than 38 hours a week. The same person makes 319 times less money than the top U.S. CEO. 319 times, people. Can somebody put 319 in there? Multiply the average salary, which in the U.S. is probably like 50 grand, times 319, and that's the average salary of the top CEOs in the country. But here's what the top CEOs do. They claim to read more than 1 book a week or 60 a year. People get mad about how much money they make, right? People are like, oh my God, why do they make all of that money? But guess what? They have the knowledge. They've gone to the right schools. They've connected with the right people. They have broadened themselves and worked up the ladder to achieve the knowledge to run a successful business. And therefore, When they bring that business uber amounts of money and tons of success, guess what? 60 books a year, one a week, top CEOs. Where do they find the time? They gain knowledge, they apply it. If they don't apply the knowledge, guess what? They probably wouldn't be a CEO. So that is interesting, right, Laura? But here's a story. How many of you have heard of a coffee shop? It's kind of famous. I can't remember. It's Starbucks. How many of you have heard of Starbucks? Put a 5 in the box. And if you've heard of Starbucks, I would love to hear this number. How many of you actually purchase Starbucks? Put a 3 in the box. If you purchase from Starbucks, you go there every day, Rafia. You go there every single day. So how many of you actually purchase Starbucks? There you go, Alexa the Great. You purchase Starbucks. You guys purchase Starbucks. You guys drink it. Like, everybody loves Starbucks. It's like addicting. Every time I see a Starbucks, I'm not a coffee drinker, I see a long line, and I'm like, and I know Greg Harvey's in the room. He calls it $5. He doesn't even call it Starbucks. He calls it $5 because you don't walk out of Starbucks without spending $5, even if you only get a coffee. Thank you so much for the hearts. Isn't one by you? You're better off, Claudia, by not having one. So he calls it $5. I think it's hysterical, because a lot of people who will spend $5, and I know that's not this crowd, a day on a coffee, which over the course of a month, and that's just a coffee, not a Danish or anything, are the same people who would tell me that they can't afford coaching, that they can't afford a $100 product so that they could learn the steps necessary to have success in whatever it is, the product that they desire. So the $5 over a 20-day work week or work month turns into $100. But they don't have time for coaching. They don't have time for a product. They don't have time or the energy or the money to buy a book that would give them the knowledge. The 10X rule, guys, I'm telling you, go buy the 10X rule. I gave you guys the bit.ly link. How many of you have the book? But some of you will be at Starbucks. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying, guys, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying, if you want to be successful in life, average, doing what everybody else is doing, is not going to get you to where you want to go. Starbucks CEO, awesome book. So I'm going to touch on him. So Howard Schultz is Starbucks CEO. And Howard Schultz in 2008, and you may know this, Kristen Crockett, because you read his book. In 2008, most CEOs were downsizing. They were cutting staff. They were closing businesses because they weren't producing enough money in this economic downturn. $5 is not a need. $5 is a want. It is not a commodity that people need, especially in the lack of a recession. So guess what happens? Lisa Bechtel, thanks for coming in. Thanks for sharing your followers. And thank you so much for tapping the screen as you come in too. So what did he do? The billionaire CEO and owner of Starbucks, or as some people call it, $5, he went out to his stores and sat down with you and me, if I were there, and asked questions. How can I make Starbucks better? How can I make your experience better so that you want to come back for more? This is what the man did. And people were like, oh my God, I'm sitting next to a billionaire. He's asking my opinion. He asked the people who are buying his product how he can make the experience better. Is that normal or average activity? Put a yes or a no in the box. Is that normal or average activity? Put a yes or a no in the box. No, that is not normal. That is not average. That is exceptional thinking. That is taking yourself out of the equation. Like, I'm a billionaire, but I need to know what's going on in the ground floor of my operation. More importantly, what's going on in my customers' minds. How I could get them coming back when $5 is a commodity. It's something that, like, not everybody has. But if they're going to spend $5 with me, what can I do to make their experience better? That is not average thinking. Grant goes on talking about, so they actually expanded their business in that economic downturn because he took the feedback and applied it to his businesses. So now, Grant talks about where he thought he had made it. He had been doing 10x effort. He had been putting it in. He had become a multimillionaire. Right? And here's a multimillionaire, and as he gets to the brink of it, somebody approaches him and wants to leverage him and says, we should become partners in this business. And they didn't want to become partners. They wanted his knowledge, his energy, his effort, his name, and his ideas. And what they did, they took him for a lot of what he had. And he says the reason he knows he did that, the reason he knows that happened, Lance, thank you so much for coming into the scope. And if anybody is getting any value out of this and you want to invite your followers, it's not too late. They could watch the replay. I got about 10 more minutes here of digging into you guys and sharing with you what Grant shared in chapter 8. How many of you are picking up what I'm putting down, put a 1 in the box? How many of you are getting some knowledge out of this and this is making a lot of sense? Guys, we can't do average and be exceptional. Too many people want exceptional results without putting in the work. We must do 10x. Thank you so much, all of you, for putting that. If any of you, because some of you are new to my scope and haven't followed me, feel free to click on the little Perry guy now as I drop some more knowledge, because I am covering this book over the next 13 days. 15 days, there's 23 chapters, and we are going to hit every single chapter of what Grant is imploring into this. So, his mindset, he says, was a greater than mindset. I'm going to do greater than I'm already doing. His company covered that. So then Grant talks about when he made it, he rested on his laurels. Those people took him. He wasn't working at 10x. He wanted someone else with a nice offer to do the work, and guess what? He got a little bit taken. Oh, thank you so much, Tori. I appreciate that. He got taken. He talks about the average person doesn't prepare for emergencies, right? Everybody, when everything is good, life is good. People's health is good. People's finances are good. They have a good job. Good, keyword good. It's average, right? And then what happens? They lose their job. They get in a car accident and they can't work, so their health and their job and money is taken advantage of. Had they been working at 10x levels and said, listen, I need to set myself up for success regardless of economic conditions. Guys, everybody wants a money tree. How many of you want a money tree? How many of you want a money tree? Put a 1 in the box. How many of you would love a money tree? I would love a money tree, guys. I would love a money tree. So there's nothing wrong with saying you want a money tree. But my thing is a 1 in the box. There's nothing wrong with it, because I know you guys think I'm tricking you. But this is the thing, guys. We all have seeds. We're getting seeds here. We're talking about putting the seed in the ground right now and start educating yourself. Get yourself around good people who know what they're talking about. Get in front of people who are doing the things that you want to accomplish. And then guess what? Water that seed. Put some time, energy, and effort to it. Make sure it gets the right sunlight. When it gets the right sunlight, you'll get a sprout, and you'll start growing your own money tree because you'll learn how to be successful. But too many people are like, I can't do what Grant Cardone does. I mean, he's worth $500 million. He wasn't always worth $500 million. He has the same 24 hours in a day that you have. He has the same social people around him, right? You guys choose who you want to be with. But guess what? He chose to be around uber successful people. Those of you in this room right now are choosing to be around each other. You're all striving to be somebody that you are not today because you want more out of life. So guess what? You are surrounding yourself with the right people. Use each other. Network with each other. Find out what each other is doing and help each other grow in this process. But be realistic. He talks about people don't set realistic expectations. I hear this every single time I get on a coaching call, almost without fail. Almost without fail. People, it takes a lot of time, energy, and effort to build a business. I spoke to a young lady 2 weeks ago. I talked to her on a Sunday. I sat down with her. I said, "Hey, do you have a business card?" She was all excited. She showed me her business card. She goes, I'm leaving my job tomorrow. I'm putting all my energy and effort into this business. I was like, awesome. How many clients do you have? And she goes, I have 3 months of money saved up. I go, how many clients do you have? She's like, I don't have any. Well, how are you leaving your job? Well, I have money saved up. I said, do you have your business expenses covered? She's like what? Like marketing? She's like, I just got these business cards. You're the first person I gave a business card. I'm the only person who knows about your business? And yet you're going to quit your job and you think 3 months is going to cover what it takes to grow a business? People underestimate what it takes, people. If you want 20 clients in a business, we're going to just use a random number. You want 20 clients in a business. Let's say you want to make $500 a month off a client, right? A coaching business. That is $100,000 a year. My coach, when I paid for a coach, a business coach, when I got into my coaching, he broke it down for me like this. He says, Ryan, how many clients do you want? I was like, 20. How much do you want to make a month? Five. I want to make six figures. $500 a month would be awesome. And he goes, okay, you need to get 20 people. What do you need to do that? I'm like, I don't know. You tell me. You're the coach. He goes, you got to get 130 people on the phone who are qualified to buy from you. I said, okay. He goes, 30 of those people aren't going to show up. I said, okay. He goes, so that's 100 people, and if you got a good closing rate, people are in the right position, and you give them all you have, and you coach them well on that coaching call, they'll probably buy from you. And guess what? You're going to get your 20 clients because you close 20% ratio, which is a pretty good closing rate. I said, okay, I can do 130 calls. Man, I could probably bang that out in 2 months. He goes, no, qualified calls. How many people do you need to talk to get 130 people to make an appointment with you? 1,000 easy people. 1,000. So he told me if I want to make 100 grand, I got to talk to minimum 1,000 people a day. Or not a day. 1,000 people to get 130 qualified, to get 100 on the phone, to get 20 as clients. Is that 10x, guys? Is that 10x? That's just realistic. That coach gave great advice, and guess what? I went out pretty quickly and landed, I think in the first month, I got 7 clients. But I took massive action, and I'll tell you, I got 17 calls. My first 17 calls as a coach wanting to get paid were... And I was like, there's no way on God's green earth anybody's ever going to hire me. I took 17 calls. The next 7 people hired me. The next 7. It's a law of averages, guys. You put in the time, energy, and effort, you will get the results. Had I not known those numbers, I probably would have given up around 10 because I was getting frustrated. Tommy Norman, thank you so much for coming into the room. So he talks about setting realistic expectations. Talk to 1,000 people. How many people do you need to sell a book? Austin Sieben yesterday. How many of you know of Austin? Austin sold 150 books over the last 2 days. Austin nurtured, because I know I work with Austin, he nurtured for 6 months on Facebook, talking to people, doing things behind the scenes, and people were like, oh my God, this kid's awesome. He has people to drop 99 cents and 150 people stepped up to the plate. He has 2,000 people on his Facebook that he nurtures every single day, and he made $150, of which is nothing because it cost him way more than that to get the book out. But guess what? He wants to get 150 testimonials. He knows what it takes to play the game behind the scenes on Amazon. The more testimonials, the chances are greater of selling the book. He doesn't want to sell the book. He wants to speak. There's a lot of things that go into this. He put 10x effort the last 6 months into his book. Therefore, he got 150 people to buy it and became a bestseller in 3 countries. There was a lot that went on behind the scenes, and kudos to him if you're watching a replay, Austin, because I know he catches my stuff. You got to jump off. Thank you so much for today. You are absolutely welcome, Kristen. And thank you for signing up and being on the Scope Train last night because you were on the list. The Scope Train is sold out, guys. Everybody is on it, ready for next week. It's going to be phenomenal. Claudia is on there also. So, he talks about people want to raise money. How many people want to raise money to do things instead of raising their actions? Because it's easier to raise money or ask for money than to increase the actions. Average assumes everything will work perfectly. Average people don't think about the things that could go wrong. They don't think about and they don't account for that. So, I told you about that. I told you about the young lady. Most people don't know it takes. Here's the thing, business. The same girl with 3 years or 3 months savings wanted to start a business. Most people don't realize larger businesses, brick and mortar businesses, most of them don't break even for 5 years, people. For 5 years, if they make it. 90% of businesses that are brick and mortar fail within the first year. Why? Because people aren't projecting out the right way. They're not accounting for all the things that can go wrong. They are estimating based on everything working perfectly. Guys, you want to hear about this? You want to hear about this? Here's the shortest distance between 2 lines or between 2 points. It's a line. It's a line, right? You want to go from point A to point B. Here's the thing. This is an entrepreneur's journey. We don't know what's going to come up today, tomorrow, a hurricane's going to happen. That's your journey as an entrepreneur. That's your journey. You got to put 10x rule to overcome all of this stuff. You need to put 10x effort to overcome all the obstacles, hurdles, challenges that you got to do. But guess what? People want to do it on their own. People don't want to hire a coach. People don't want to do the things. They don't want to learn. They're like, why am I going to invest in somebody who's already done it? Like, somebody's already done it. They've gone the path. They've had the hurdles. Your learning curve can go through the roof, and you can become profitable a lot sooner. Let's say 2 years. On a brick and mortar, if you hire a coach, so that you could be prepared mentally and taking the right steps necessary to get where you're at. And then they can sit there and tell you, hey, listen, this may happen in the near future. Be prepared for it. When it happens, they're prepared, and it's not a catastrophe. It's not a catastrophe. It's like, oh, wow, coach said that was going to happen. I'm prepared for that. Keep moving forward. And that's the benefit of a coach. So he ends the chapter with this, guys. I hope you got a lot out of it. Follow the roadmap, those who went before you. Yeah, I talk about that with the plank challenge, right? I see people at 2 minutes already when they're on day 4. Guys, don't do 2 minutes. There's a process to doing a 5-minute plank. There's a process to building a business. There's a process that if you follow it, you'll be successful. But everybody thinks they know how to do it, and they're going to do it their way. There are no shortcuts in success. Can somebody write that out? There are no shortcuts in success. Greg Harvey gets on every single day and does a devotional. And if you guys aren't following him, follow him. You can't skip ahead. There are no shortcuts in success. Absolutely none. Did 90 seconds today. Woof. But you're on 90 seconds, and that's what it tells you to do. But when 90 seconds come and you adapt to it, it goes to 2 minutes, and that'll be your new challenge. But you didn't jump ahead. So follow Greg Harvey, Pastor Greenbeard, with the green hearts right there. Absolutely phenomenal. So he says, and I want you guys to think about this in your mind. Can you join me for like another 2 minutes here? Think about this in your mind. People who operate, just think of the people who operate at average levels in your mind that you know of. Your coworkers, maybe your family, something like that. Think of those people in your mind, right? Then I want you to think of this. And you guys are already picturing them. You guys are already picturing those things. There are no shortcuts to success. Then think of 3 times in your life where an average effort had you come up short. And I'm just going to give it. You guys don't even have to say it. Just I want you to think about this. And I'll share with you. In the beginning stages of my business, right? I got those 7 clients, and I was like, oh, man, this was easy. I forgot all the work I had put in, and I held on to those clients, and I had to rebuild a couple months down the road because I had 7 clients still. I didn't put in the 10x effort to go get more. Be transparent and honest. But when I do, boom, the clients come when I put in 10x effort. Think of 3 times, 3 people who have exceptional results that you know of, and describe in your mind, or you could write this out, so it could be an exercise, describe how they are different from average. Now, I could think of Greg Harvey right now. I know Greg. I know Greg's been putting in tremendous amounts of effort to build his broadcast, to get the people in, to say the right things, to build a challenge now. He's got a lot of great things going on. This is not average, people. This is every single day, even when he doesn't want to. Greg, I asked him to get on my scope train last night. I said, Greg, will you kick it off? And Greg was like, and he told me, I'm not feeling it. But he showed up anyway. He showed up anyway, and he delivered because he knows there's an audience of people who he could connect with. And even though he didn't feel like it, he showed up anyway. He is far from average. And he's an introvert, right? So an introvert doesn't even want to show up. Then the last thing I want you guys to think of. The last thing I want you guys to think of is this. The definition of average. The definition of average as an adjective, as an action word, is usual or ordinary in kind or character. Now I'll ask you guys, do you want that to be the definition of yourself? Usual or ordinary in kind or character. Do you want to be an average in character, or do you want to have an exceptional character? Do you want to be ordinary, usual, just like blah, Or do you want to have purpose when you're here? I know someone like Tommy Norman gets on and pours her heart out. I know that Lisa Bechtel, when she gets on and shares of herself, she pours her heart out. We have purpose. Usual, that word, guys, that word sucks. That word sucks, and if you consider yourself that, I would implore you to and encourage you to have a different mindset about yourself. We are all precious beings on this planet. We are all amazing people. We are all purposeful. We are all planted here by God, and we're God's children, and we have to take the actions necessary for Him to give us the fruit of our labors, because He wants you to show up. He wants you to show up for Him. He wants you to show up for yourself. He wants you to show up for your mother. He wants you to show up for your father. He wants you to show up for your children. He wants you to show up in life. So why not take 10x actions? Now, if you're having a hard time wrapping your head around all this stuff, like, I don't know where to start, I, as a coach, help people get into action. If you want some guidance, if you want a complimentary coaching call, I offer that at ryanroy.me. My site is phenomenal because Greg Harvey designed it for me. Greg Harvey designed it for me, and I'm so proud to send people to ryanroy.me. And at the top of the homepage is complimentary coaching session. And if anybody would like to talk to me, I encourage you to take 10x action right now. 10x action right now. Go and click on the link, because I think come the end of October, I'm not going to be offering it for free anymore. I'm giving that for like 5 more weeks because my boat's becoming overloaded, but I want to help people who want to help themselves. I can't help you if you don't take action. So I'm going to do a quick reset. He did a phenomenal job. Thank you so much, Beth, if you're there. For those who don't know, who came into the scope late, if you don't know who I am, my name's Ryan Roy. I am a success coach and an accountability coach. I like my clients to take massive action so that they get 10x results in their life. I do that by clearly identifying their goals and breaking it down into smaller actionable steps so that they can attain small successes that lead to large successes. Okay? So if anybody would like a consult, please, please, please go to ryanroy.me and get that call. And get your slot. I want to thank all of you today, right? Your time is the most precious thing you have. This time you spent here with me, 20, 25 minutes, cannot be replaced. Your time is precious. I understand that, and you chose to spend it with me here today, and for that, I thank you. I want to acknowledge those of you who are still in the room, and I want to acknowledge those of you who've been tapping that screen and loving on me the entire time. Alex, thank you so much for being here. Lisa Bechtel, your thumb's got to be tired. Greg, she's got you beat. Greg Harvey, thank you for always supporting me at a high level. Tommy Norman, thank you so much for coming into my scopes. I enjoyed yours last night when I got into it, so I will be showing up more often. Laura Lee, thank you so much for being here. Beth, I hope you're getting your free consult if you're interested in it. She's a hairstylist from Tempe, Arizona. I love that. Love Forever 17, thank you for being here. Colleen Hammond, thank you for being here. Christy, thank you. And Carrie Miller. There may be a couple other people. There's 5 more net viewers or people that just aren't on the list that Periscope doesn't allow me to acknowledge, but I want to know that you are being acknowledged. So you web viewers and anybody else I didn't acknowledge, please know that I appreciate you also. Guys, till tomorrow, we're going to be reviewing the 10X rule, Chapter 9. Chapter 9 is 10X goals. Guys, we got to have 10X goals to have 10X execution. Thank you so much, Carrie Miller. I appreciate that. I also do a quote scope early in the morning on Monday through Friday that gets your day kicked off and inspiring. So everybody, have an amazing day. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and goodbye.